Came across a really interesting business opportunity.
Here we go again.
What is it this time, Ray?
Restaurant.
New how? Restaurant filled with milkshakes and Folder-Nooks?
Folder-Nooks.
McDonald's.
The story begins in 1954 and follows Ray Kroc, a struggling traveling salesman. Ray travels across the country attempting to sell Prince Castle brand multi-spindle milkshake mixers to various drive-in restaurants. During his travels, he becomes increasingly frustrated with the inefficient service at these establishments. Ray observes that these small food businesses often take a long time to deliver orders. Furthermore, when the food finally arrives, it is frequently incorrect or poor quality. While Ray and his wife, Ethel, have saved enough money to live a comfortable life in Arlington Heights, Illinois, Ray is not satisfied. He finds himself unable to settle down and constantly craves more success and financial gain. While driving between sales calls, Ray frequently listens to a motivational record. The speech emphasizes that persistence and determination alone are all-powerful. This message motivates him to keep trying despite constant rejection from restaurant owners. One day, after another unsuccessful sales attempt, Ray calls his secretary, June Martino. She informs him that a restaurant in California has placed an order for 6 milkshake mixers. Ray is skeptical because most restaurants only order one mixer, if they order any at all. He believes June must have misunderstood the order and calls the restaurant himself to confirm. During the call, he learns that the order was actually for 8 mixers instead of 6. The restaurant is located in San Bernardino, Southern California. Driven by curiosity, Ray decides to drive all the way to California to see what kind of establishment requires that many mixers. When he arrives, he is amazed by what he sees. Unlike the traditional drive-ins he usually visits, this is a walk-up restaurant called McDonald's. The location is extremely busy, with long queues of people waiting for their food. Ray notices a family-friendly environment and a very efficient operation. Ray joins one of the lines and is surprised by how quickly the queue moves. Within moments of placing his order, his food is ready and handed to him. He is shocked by the speed of the service and the high quality of the meal. He notices that the restaurant uses an entirely different concept than its competitors. The food is served in disposable paper wrappings rather than on silverware. This allows customers to carry their food wherever they want without needing to return trays or utensils. As Ray eats his meal on a nearby bench, he watches other customers enjoying the experience. He eventually meets one of the owners, Maurice Mac McDonald. Ray expresses his admiration for the innovative walk-up system the brothers have created. Mac is pleased by Ray's feedback and offers him a tour of the kitchen. During the tour, Mac explains that their primary goal is speed. Ray sees custom-built tools and a highly organized staff working in perfect synchronization. The kitchen is designed so that a single hamburger can be prepared in just 30 seconds. Ray then meets the other brother, Richard Dick McDonald, who is focused on maintaining the exact temperature for the fries. Because the restaurant is too busy for a long conversation, Ray invites the brothers to dinner. During the dinner, Mac and Dick share the origin story of the McDonald's brand with Ray. The brothers explain that they originally moved to Hollywood to work in the film industry. They eventually opened a movie theater in Glendora, but the business failed due to the Great Depression. Following the theater closure, they opened a small food stand in Arcadia selling hot dogs and orange juice. Because Arcadia lacked enough foot traffic, they decided to relocate the business to San Bernardino. They moved their existing stand on a truck and began selling hot dogs at the new location. The brothers later upgraded the stand into a drive-in barbecue restaurant with a menu featuring 27 different items. This original version of the restaurant utilized car hops, uniformed waitresses who brought food directly to the customers' cars. At first, the business was successful, but sales eventually plateaued as complications arose. The drive-in model attracted a crowd the brothers found undesirable, and they struggled with high labor and silverware costs. They realized they needed to change their business model to survive. After analyzing their sales, they discovered that hamburgers, French fries, and soft drinks accounted for 87% of their profits. Based on this data, they decided to focus exclusively on those 3 items. They eliminated the car hops and transformed the business into a walk-up restaurant where customers placed orders at a window. They also switched to disposable packaging to save money on washing and replacing silverware. To implement their speedy service system, the brothers devised a unique training method. They took their employees to a tennis court and drew the kitchen layout in chalk. They had the staff practice moving through the motions of food preparation to find the most efficient kitchen design. After several iterations, they perfected a kitchen setup that allowed them to prepare food in seconds. Despite the innovation, the new model did not take off immediately. Customers were initially confused by the lack of car hops and were unhappy about having to leave their cars to get their food. The brothers persisted through these early struggles until the restaurant became the most popular spot in town. Ray is captivated by the story and finds himself unable to sleep that night. The next morning, Ray meets with the brothers and proposes that they franchise the restaurant. Ray argues that such a revolutionary establishment should be expanded across the country. The brothers reveal that they have already tried to franchise in several areas. However, these attempts failed because they could not maintain quality standards at locations they did not personally manage. While attempting to convince them, Ray notices a painting on the wall of a building with large golden arches. Mac explains that this was a concept design created by Dick for a franchise in Phoenix. Ray decides to travel to Phoenix to see this location for himself. When he arrives, he finds the Phoenix franchise is failing to live up to the brothers' standards. Despite seeing a struggling version of the brand, Ray becomes even more determined to make the idea work. He returns home and tells his wife, Ethel, about the revolutionary system he witnessed. Ray explains that he wants to invest in the business and become a part of its growth. Ethel is not supportive of the idea, as she is satisfied with their comfortable life and fears the risk of a new venture. The two argue when Ray asks for her support in his new vision. The next day, Ray returns to his job as a traveling salesman, but he is deeply distracted. He finds himself increasingly upset after being ignored by potential clients and cannot stop thinking about the McDonald's restaurant. Despite Ethel's disapproval, Ray returns to San Bernardino to once again convince the brothers to let him lead their franchising efforts. Dick McDonald remains reluctant, expressing concern about the stress such a venture might put on Mac's health, which suffered during their previous failed attempt. Eventually, the brothers agree to Ray's proposal, but they insist on maintaining strict control over the brand. A contract is drafted that contains a major condition: no changes or decisions regarding the franchise can be made without the brothers' written approval. Ray quickly signs the paperwork and begins his journey to open the first franchise in Des Plaines, Illinois. Finding funding proves to be a major obstacle as most investors refuse to back the unproven concept. To secure the necessary capital, Ray is forced to take out a loan by using his home as leverage. Ray keeps this financial risk a secret from his wife. While trying to get the new location running, he becomes frustrated by how long the brothers take to approve his suggested alterations. Dick explains that his architect must review everything to ensure it is up to code and safe. Ray is angered by the delay because he has invested a significant amount of his own money into the project. Construction finally begins, and Ray meticulously ensures that every operation mirrors the original San Bernardino location. However, he soon clashes with the brothers again when he proposes a sponsorship deal with Coca-Cola. Ray sees putting the Coca-Cola name on the menu boards as a great business opportunity to generate revenue. Dick refuses the idea, claiming that commercializing the restaurant in such a way goes against their core beliefs. Despite these disagreements, the Des Plaines restaurant opens and becomes a success. Ray manages quality control personally and works alongside his employees to maintain high standards. Ethel remains skeptical of the venture, so Ray attempts to appease her by promising a night out at their local country club. While at the club, Ray pitches the franchise idea to his wealthy friends and fellow members. The wealthy investors initially mock him, but they eventually agree to invest in new locations. Deals for these new franchises are made with the brothers' consent, though Mac and Dick worry about maintaining quality across so many sites. Ray's fears are realized when he visits a franchise in Schaumburg. He is infuriated to find the location in disarray, with trash on the floor and a lack of family-friendly atmosphere. Most importantly, the hamburgers are poor quality and do not follow the brothers' strict standards. When the owner shows a lack of concern for these violations, Ray realizes that wealthy investors are not the right fit for the brand. Ray decides to cancel his country club membership and changes his recruitment strategy. He meets a man named Leonard Rosenblatt, whose drive inspires Ray to look for middle-class investors. Ray believes these individuals will be more hands-on and willing to follow the specific McDonald's formula. Ray helps Leonard open a franchise in Waukegan, and the results are immediate. Leonard runs the restaurant exactly according to the rules and regulations, maintaining the high standards Ray expects. This success confirms Ray's theory that middle-class investors are the key to growth because they are willing to work alongside their staff. New franchises begin opening rapidly across the Midwest in locations like Dayton, Madison, Milwaukee, and Grand Rapids. During this expansion, Ray begins representing himself as the founder of McDonald's, which irritates the McDonald brothers. They are particularly annoyed when they discover he refers to his Des Plaines location as McDonald's No. 1, even though their original restaurant has been operating for years. While attending a franchise opening in Minnesota, Ray visits an upscale restaurant for dinner. He meets the owner, Raleigh Smith, who expresses interest in opening a McDonald's franchise in Minneapolis. At the restaurant, Ray also meets Raleigh's wife, Joan, and is instantly attracted to her. The two share a connection through music as they sing and play the piano together. Despite the rapid expansion and visual success of the new locations, Ray finds himself in a dire financial situation. His contract entitles him to only 1.4% of the profits, which is not enough to cover his mounting debts and operating costs. Ray calls the brothers to renegotiate the original contract to increase his share of the profits. The brothers refuse to change the terms, insisting that the original deal must stand. Further complicating matters, Ray discovers that the high cost of refrigeration for milkshake ice cream is significantly cutting into his profit margins. During a visit with Joan Smith, she suggests an alternative to traditional milkshakes. She introduces Ray to a powdered milk mix that tastes like a real milkshake but requires no refrigeration. Ray views this as a perfect way to save money and proposes the idea to Dick McDonald. Dick flatly refuses to use the powder, stating that it would compromise the quality of their food and their core values. With his financial problems worsening, Ray attempts to get another loan from the bank. The bank refuses his request, leaving him with a mortgage on his home that he still hasn't told Ethel about. While at the bank, Ray is overheard by a man named Harry Sonneborn, a financial consultant. Sonneborn is interested in Ray's business model and offers to review his books. After analyzing the finances, Sonneborn explains that Ray is looking at the business the wrong way. Sonneborn tells Ray that he is not in the hamburger business, but in the real estate business. He suggests that Ray should buy the land where the franchises are built and then lease that land back to the franchise owners. This strategy would provide a separate, steady income stream that Ray would not have to share with the McDonald brothers. Sonneborn's suggestion is immediately successful, and Ray begins earning significant revenue through this new model. He changes the name of his company to the Franchise Realty Corporation to reflect this new direction. When Dick McDonald calls to question the nature of this new entity, Ray claims that it is a separate corporation and is not covered by the terms of their original contract. As Ray's success and wealth grow, his personal life deteriorates. One night during dinner, he tells his wife, Ethel, that he wants a divorce. Ray is willing to give her everything they own, including their home and assets, except for any shares or interest in the McDonald's company. Ray also hires a team of lawyers to find a way to break his contract with the McDonald brothers. He becomes increasingly bold, sending a letter to the brothers using official McDonald's Corporation letterhead that lists himself as the president. Dick threatens to sue Ray, asserting that they are the original founders and owners of the brand. Ray remains undeterred and informs the brothers that his real estate business has made him wealthy enough to bury them in legal fees. He points out that while they may be the founders, they lack the financial resources to fight him in court. The intense stress of the situation causes Mac McDonald to go into diabetic shock. After Mac is admitted to the hospital, Ray visits him and brings a bouquet of flowers. He also brings a letter containing a blank check, indicating his intent to buy out the brothers' entire share of the company. Realizing they cannot win a legal battle against Ray, the brothers decide to set their terms for the buyout. The brothers agree to a lump sum payment of $2.7 million and the rights to their original restaurant in San Bernardino. They also request a 1% annual royalty on the company's profits. While Ray agrees to the cash payment, he refuses to put the royalty agreement in writing. Instead, Ray offers the 1% royalty as a handshake deal, which the brothers reluctantly accept. Following the negotiations, Dick encounters Ray in a restroom and asks why he didn't just steal their idea years ago. Ray explains that he couldn't have built the empire with a different name, stating that the true value was the name McDonald's itself. Because they no longer own the trademark to their own name, the brothers are forced to rename their original restaurant the Big M. To further retaliate, Ray builds a brand new McDonald's franchise directly across the street from their location. The film jumps forward to 1970, showing Ray in his luxurious mansion with his new wife, Joan. Ray prepares a speech for an event attended by Governor Ronald Reagan, using the same motivational phrases about persistence that he listened to at the start of the film. The postscript reveals that the San Bernardino McDonald's eventually went out of business due to the competition from Ray's franchise. It also notes that Ray never honored the handshake deal regarding the royalties. If Ray had kept his word, the brothers would have received over $100 million a year. The story concludes by noting that McDonald's now feeds approximately 1% of the world's population every single day.